Brian, how can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Brian, how concerned are you that you're in a situation like you were in Tampa in May, where you just had a whole slew of these tests come one day after another? Or are you fairly confident that it's contained to those two players?
No, we're in a very fluid situation right now, Eric. Listen, the vaccines, that we encourage everybody to guarantee not getting hospitalized and not, getting death coming from COVID, which is important, but it doesn't prevent you, from contracting COVID. It just, obviously protects you from the severe worst case scenario effects from COVID. We're thankful that we're vaccinated in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases. So therefore, we're ultimately protected, and that's the biggest thing, that a message I can provide, from the vaccinations, that they do protect you from hospitalization and death, but it does not prevent contracting COVID. It just, I think, lessens those effects. So we are still vulnerable, as the population is, to obviously experiencing COVID contracting. And so at the end of the day, it's a fluid situation that could spread and has spread to some degree. We have 3 positives, and we have 3 pending, that, we've had rapid tests on, and until the lab-based tests come back, the rapid tests have come back positive, and so on multiple occasions now, and so therefore we'll wait now for the lab tests to come back, which I'm assuming is going to be positive as well. So that would increase our number to 6, but we're not at 6 yet. We're at 3 confirmed. So,
Brian, is that relegated to all players? Is that combining players and staff?
it's all currently within the player population. So the confirmed, and I can share with you, obviously Loizaga, Nestor Cortez, and Wandy Peralta have been positive now for COVID and confirmed. And then we have 3 pending situations that on a rapid test on multiple repeated versions are positive, and we're waiting for lab-based tests to give us a final official confirmed. So we could be as high as 6 from the player population pool right now, but we're taking every step necessary to try to walk through this.
And Cortez had been your scheduled starter for tonight. Had you guys planned to start him?
No, he was not scheduled.
He was not scheduled.
No.
Thank you, Coach.
Go to Brendan Cuddy.
Cash, is it too soon to say anything about tomorrow night's game, or are you concerned about whether you played them off?
Well, as you know, the decision to play or not play rests in these circumstances with the commissioner's office. So that decision was made with a lot of obviously careful thought, with safety and health involved, for all parties, both teams, as well as obviously anybody else, that could be within the vicinity here. So tomorrow's game decision, that would be something that again would be directed by Major League Baseball and the commissioner himself.
And also, could you take us through the timeline of this? Was this coming out of the All-Star break? Everyone gets here today, gets tested, and then you guys find out you have something on your hands?
Yes. So obviously Loizaga, it started obviously with Loizaga, which you saw did not pitch in the final few games of the Houston series because his positive test. And then now since that time, we've rolled into entering the break with now more confirmed positives today. And we're reacting to it clearly.
Lindsay Adler, please unmute.
Brian, how many of the 3 positives and 3 potential positives have been vaccinated?
Most are vaccinated. So the question was, how many are vaccinated? I'd say most of the player population pool have been vaccinated that are potentially positive for COVID. Not all, but most.
Andy Martino, please unmute.
Brian, do you know if a particular variant was detected in the positive cases?
I do not know. And to turn the clock back a little bit, so on Lindsay's question, so out of the the known positives that I've announced between Peralta and Loizaga and Nestor Cortez. Two, were the I think if I'm accurate, I think two were from J&J and one was from a double shot from, I believe it was Pfizer. So Pfizer or Moderna, one of the two. I'm sorry. So we have experienced obviously breakthroughs on various of the vaccinations, which again is certainly possible, and that's not something that's hasn't happened and it won't be happening in the future either. It just but thankfully I can report that those players are doing well thus far and doing what they need to be doing in quarantining regardless of being diagnosed post-vaccination. The other three are now obviously in a quarantine situation pending the ultimate outcome of the final lab results, and we'll see where that takes us.
Greg Joyce, please unmute.
Brian, the three that are pending, are any of those guys experiencing symptoms?
I'll say right now, I'm going to stay silent on the three until those things work out and get final official confirmation, and then we'll have more information.
Thanks.
Sweeney Murdy, go ahead.
Hey, Brian, you say most, but not all are vaccinated. Does the outcome of this having to postpone the game, would that be different if all of your players were vaccinated? Would that have made a difference?
The decision to postpone the game came from the commissioner of baseball. So I wouldn't be in a position to answer ultimately, what I know that ultimately the decision is for protection and health of all employees. But I don't want to speak for the commissioner, what led to the final official decision for him to cancel the competition tonight between Boston and New York. And but he took all aspects involved. And until I'm sure from his perspective and his chair, until this very fluid situation kind of declares itself and we all really know what we're dealing with, I think, better safe than sorry. And that's probably what went into his decision-making process, but I cannot speak for him. And I am not speaking for him by sharing those thoughts.
And do you know about at what point in time that they're going to decide about tomorrow's game?
I do not know. Obviously, the announcement just came shortly, a short period of time ago about tonight's game, and we're waiting for further information on pending tests on our end to give us more information, which I'm sure will go into the decision-making process for Commissioner Madford as he looks towards tomorrow.
Marley Rivera, go ahead.
Hi, Cash. When you had the outbreak that happened among your coaching and support staff back in Tampa, you were really open about saying that the vaccination, you wanted to go against vaccine hesitancy and say that vaccination was working because a lot of your staff did not get sick. Is that what's happening here?
Let's hope. I mean, so far, I think that I can represent that in most cases, it's just, I think almost in all cases, it's been a surprise now with people getting higher numbers now of coming back. It's not surprising that we're dealing with a problem, and now it's not surprising that other people are now coming back positives too, despite the vaccinations in most cases. And so, but yes, thankfully I can report, that as of right now, everybody's okay. And that would speak again to the belief that those vaccinations are working and ultimately there to protect us from severe illness and or death. And so in that case, I want to represent that that's what's been happening, and people should strongly consider that vaccination and not strongly consider that they should have the vaccinations. But it doesn't prevent us from having conversations like this, what they consider breakthroughs. But the breakthroughs, obviously, the symptoms in theory would be limited. But it doesn't mean that you can't expose others because you're, carrying the virus despite being vaccinated. So it's about protecting others. And that's why I'm sure the decisions are getting made to take people, quarantine them, and limit the competition for the short term.
Go next to Dan Martin.
Brian, given that you had 8 or 9, I think, cases in May, and this could be as high as 6, have you gotten any answers as to why there have been understanding that there are breakthrough cases? It seems like there's been a lot both in May and now. And has that caused you to revisit any of your protocols or anything that you guys have done this season, just in terms of safety?
I think we certainly will reevaluate everything we, have done. And if there's anything we can be better at as we move forward, those are fair questions to ask. I don't have an answer for that right now. I know that, we rely on a lot of guidance from medical experts and try to implement to the best of our abilities. And as you know, we have a population of personnel that most are vaccinated. Some have chosen not to get vaccinated. They have their reasons for that. And, we're certainly trying to create, Major League Baseball is, as well as the New York Yankees, a safe environment to come work and travel in. And we'll constantly be, reevaluating that, whenever necessary, for the benefit of our personnel. And so it's a fair question. I don't have an answer to that right now, but we'll certainly walk through that with people smarter than me on this call.
Christy Ackert, please unmute.
Hi, Brian. Loizaga, did he have to quarantine and stay in Houston, or was he able to come back to New York with you guys?
He did not come back with us, no. So obviously, given his circumstance, he was removed from the player population pool, and so he did not travel with us.
Was there any protocol for players over the All-Star break, or was it just they came back, they went home and then they just came back and got tested and the positives happened here?
Yeah, there's the players have, there's a negotiated system with Major League Baseball and the Players Association about what you can and can't do. So we've offered tests for all players, and we continue to do so. And most of the population going into today, we're willing to take those tests, and we're dealing with the results from those.
Thank you.
Brian Hoke, you have the next question.
Hey, Cash, were any of the 3 pendings you're waiting on, were they your all-stars who were in Denver?
I would not, until those resolve, I'm not going to say who they are or not. And so let's just let the play. Once I have a confirmation of what we're dealing with, and then permission from the players, if they so provide, then I'll be able to speak to it a lot better.
Okay, thank you.
Cash, thank you for the time. We'll have Aaron Boone in here.
Okay.
Next.